Beardy and the Beast, the second wall.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is placeholder intro song.
Welcome to the second wall, binge-free zone where we look at a series and discuss it in small chunks. This time we are looking at Joss Whedon's sci-fi classic, Firefly. We can be found on most podcast and social media platforms, a full list of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Please watch the episode and then join Drew and I in the mess as we explore the verse.
Our love for him now ain't hard to explain. The hero of Canton, the man they call Jayne.
Oh, I love this episode.
Yeah, this has got some good feels to it and some bad feels, some sad feels.
And something that we haven't really talked about much, like plotline wise. I actually really liked how the three plot lines all centered around a core message as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they did that really well. So Book and River, Jayne in general, and Inara and what's his name?
Fess Higgins.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, about having a symbol.
Yeah, a symbol and taking things at faith, taking things on faith, and how much that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting. So it kind of brings back a question we've had about Mal since like the first episode, where we were talking about he clearly was religious.
Yeah.
I think this shows that he hasn't necessarily given it up either, with the way he talked to Jayne about why a symbol is important.
Mm-hmm.
So subtle aspect to it, but it's there. It's just not. Mal isn't focusing on the symbol, but understands the significance of them.
Mm-hmm. He understands. It may still believe, but has either lost or abandoned that faith.
Mm-hmm.
Approaching it with a sense of cynicism.
Yeah.
So in his conversation with Jayne at the end, the whole like any man who had a statue made of him was probably some kind of asshole or another, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, it's kind of nice to get that different or it's deeper read into Mal on it. And like I think he kind of thinks that maybe the faith is a bit of lies, but I don't think he's fully abandoned it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's nice to at least get a little bit of read on Mel. And conversely, it is nice to finally have an episode that's not centered around Mel, like primarily. In fact, he was definitely secondary in this.
yeah, it's and just interesting because I still think we got more characterization from him, even with him being secondary. So
Actually, there was more than just the three. So Kaylee and Simon in his speech, like it's much lesser, but him being polite is effectively a symbol of him showing that he cares or that he has affection for.
Yeah, that's true. I did forget about that one. I think in my head I was connecting that more to other conversations we've had about Simon, where it's just like that holding on to the past. But no, you're right. It's very much. He actually did explain it there and connected to that as well.
If we were paying attention, we probably could have figured out something about River Tam and Shepherd Book's hair.
Yeah, It makes me wonder, is there something else there?
I mean, like it was a hilarious joke, like it was a nice bit, but it's entirely possible that there would be some symbolism there.
Mm, yeah. The, the weirdest thing about that's like I know they've been on this ship together for months. This is the first time anyone's seen him with his hair out.
The
Actually, there is one thing that does one line in particular in their interactions that stand out that I think has a lot of meaning.
hmm.
Um, it doesn't matter that he puts it away; it's still there.
That's very true, and that is very express. I wonder if that ties into the culmination to the final talk and what we're
Mhm.
saying about Mel. I wonder if that applies.
Mm. Yeah. Hmm. It's interesting. It's so many little things that
Yeah,
were throughout.
this entire episode was far more well crafted than I remembered. I remember this one just being fun.
Yeah.
Uh, but I guess that same statement matters to every situation that had like some form of symbol in this episode,
Mm.
and how those symbols are viewed differently by each person.
Mm.
So, for instance, the Higgins family, the father thinks that having sex is a symbol of manhood, where for the son, it's defiance and striking out on your own is the symbol of manhood.
Yeah.
So, how a symbol is perceived differently by each person, and which makes a lot of sense when you tie that back to the ending conversation between Mel and Jayne, where Mel is very straightforward and like provides an understandable explanation as to like the symbolism of the statue and what they were doing and their faith. And like Jayne isn't the smartest guy, but he's not exactly dumb.
Mm.
He still doesn't get it because he views that symbol differently. He has a different perception of it. It's like
It's
it's like the hair.
yeah. Jane is very. He's not dumb. What he is he's very practical,
Hmm.
right? So he would join the revelry. It's practical for him to do that. All of a sudden he's not being hunted like he thought he was going to be. He's you know getting the mother's milk is too bad for him. It's got to get the top shelf whiskey. um, right? He's got a song named after him, right? But as soon as he realized that this is the big moment for Jane, as soon as he realized he was putting everyone else in danger, he tried to renounce it.
Hmm. Well, even so, like I've and to expand on this, a good characterization of Jane was oh, what's the other guy's name?
His partner in crime.
Yeah.
Partner in crime. Right,
Give
pulled
me a
up
sec
that.
here. Stitch. Stitch
Yes.
Hessian. So when Stitch Hessian said, make you watch while I butcher me one of your boys or whatever, the immediate response, and it didn't seem like a response in the like he's teasing Simon,
Mhm.
but he was saying like I took it as he said that's not he ain't one of mine, was him trying to protect Simon.
I agree. That's exactly what I took out of it too. Um, and I you have that and just how like right after taking out Stitch, just immediately going to the guy who jumped in front of him.
Hmm.
Like they set up Jayne in such a way that didn't come across that would be the type of person he is. I mean, even kind of throughout the episode, it's like, yeah, no, he got luck. Him being unlucky is what got the townsfolk lucky, right? By having to dump the cargo and everything, which again feels very much in line with most of what they've set up with Jayne. But this is where we kind of talked about, and again, future things. It's like there's a lot more depth to him than being the thug.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and this episode in particular goes a long way to showing that. Like it hit him hard that that guy lost his life for him.
On the other hand, though, there was a look that Mel gave that was of concern beyond the situation, where when Stitch indicated that he threw his partner in crime out,
Mhm.
and you're supposed to watch the man you're with's back.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes you wonder if there's foreshadowing for that. Like,
Mm.
Jayne's not necessarily a bad person, but can you trust him? Like,
See,
what are his motivations?
and I definitely think that's definitely going to be there. I think some of that is supposed to be showing kind of the growth that Jayne has had,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't come across quite as well because we haven't really had this type of focus on Jayne. But that's who Jayne was, and not who Jayne is.
Well, exactly, and I anticipate, at least the way I view it, and it's tough because Jayne is my favorite character, so like disassociating from like the fact that I like the character, not projecting, is a bit difficult. But I at least I think that even through the episodes that we've seen, that he's been slowly changing and reinforcing that he is part of the crew.
Mhm. What was it? Even episode, I can't remember if it was Serenity or the train job, but like we had this discussion around him when he said that the pay wasn't good enough for him to turn on Mal.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, that just felt like subtext city, and I think Mal saw that as subtext city as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he's got his image to protect, but he's clearly part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He might be the bratty brother, but um, and that could be it too. Because like Stitch was a business partner.
Mm.
That's the impression that I get from him. Right?
Well, they only ran
Jayne,
together 6 months.
yeah,
It's been over 6 months since Simon's been on board.
yeah. Uh, it's like clearly that was a business deal.
Mm.
I think that everything that's happened on Serenity has this being more than a business deal, and Shane's realizing that, and it's coming out in little ways. Like he's as much as he teases Simon, right? Like, yeah, sure, he tore apart the med bay for some tape, but at the same time, he said he tried to say he was saving Simon
Mm-hmm.
at the end there too. So,
And he might even have.
mm,
Like, I didn't think the word usage was convincing,
yeah,
but as soon as he said that, Stitch just walked past Simon
yeah,
and let Simon get like pulled into the crowd, right?
yeah. And part of that could be because Stitch isn't going to know how Jane's actually changed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Stitch is just going to see Jayne as the person who's just going to throw you away when it becomes convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, there's a lot there. It's
Oh, unrelated.
mm,
I thought Summer Glau's acting, because I'm like doing a play by play on her acting for each episode. I thought it was spot on.
mm,
Um, Like, I actually got the impression that she was trying to do some like hyper intellectual, trying to actually fix the Bible.
Yes.
Like her acting in that situation and like her attachment to solving that riddle, it was convincing to me.
Yes. Um, I definitely agree. I thought it was really well done. It's it's an interesting way to kind of combine her mental state, like the psychosis part,
Mhm.
and the intellect that she has, right? Because like they just combine so well when she's trying to fix the Bible in my mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like she's focusing on it because of the psychosis, but it's all very intelligent what she's trying to do, and but because of the psychosis, she can't see why she shouldn't be doing it, even
Mhm.
when Book's trying to explain to her why. It's also really nice to see River away from Simon.
Well, that's what I was wondering because there wasn't much of an attitude shift.
Mm,
Um, it makes you wonder if she's actually hyper empathic.
mm,
Um, so Simon seems to be constantly in various turmoils, concerns, worries, um, and so much of the time expressed to the nth degree. That's what River's doing.
yeah.
But in this, even though she was like obviously in some form of like intellectual psychosis thing, she was also on board with the two most calm and stable
Mm,
uh, crew members.
yes.
So I'm just throwing that out there in case I notice that in the future.
That is, yeah, and that kind of leads to other things we've talked about with River. So
Yeah, like
uh,
when the
fine.
almost Reaver woke up.
Yeah,
Like, is that a psychic thing or is it hyper empathy?
yeah,
Or
yeah. It's she's a mystery.
yes.
um, yeah, yeah. I wonder if that's what it is, or just like a different aspect of the psychosis. It's been a bit longer, so we can't have her being completely manic all the time anymore.
Mm,
Um, it's a little hard to say because we haven't really seen her in the last couple episodes either, right? She was just kind of background.
mm.
So uh, I do really like how she tried to, like, again, just one of those things that ties to Jane's Jane's statue. It's like I tried to fix your symbol, but it's just paper now.
Oh no, I took these out of your symbol and they turned into paper
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. I tried to fix it for you, which is nice because it's like it's one of those things like it contrasts her going when she was just manically trying to fix it to showing that consciousness that okay, there was something wrong
Hmm.
and not knowing how to fix it. And I kind of also took that as like
Like a self
this is
report.
that's what I was thinking, right? I'm thinking like there's I think there's subtext there, and it's hard to say if I'm putting that there or not.
Hmm.
Like how much of her trying to fix a symbol is her trying to fix herself, right? Um, but just the idea of trying to fix the symbols is
Well, it could be. I mean, if we were to read into that deep, it would also mean that whether she knows it or not, she has faith in herself.
Mhm.
So
or trying to restore faith in herself.
exactly.
Yeah. Um,
I don't think there wasn't that much um more detailed character stuff. I mean, we did have alongside the storyline Inara just going on and telling us the entire plot of the the episode when she's talking about like the symbol of a thing and like the different perspectives of what is a symbol,
Mhm.
um, and what that symbol means.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it was nice to see at least a little bit more advancement of Kaylee and Simon.
Yes.
Um, it's not in that will they, won't they kind of like fun TV relationship thing for me yet.
Yeah.
Like
It
maybe it's because like I want Kaylee as a girlfriend.
I think the thing I like about the way Simon and Kaylee's relationship is building. It's that they're both smitten with each other.
Hmm.
Now, in the back of my mind, like this entered my head, it's like these are literally the only two people that they have that they could be smitten with.
Yeah, I guess.
Um, so there's parts that, but lots of relationships happen from that anyway. But it's just the fact that both are smitten,
Hmm.
and like this is the first time we ever got that from Simon, really.
True.
Um, because he's always got to be so proper that. Um,
Yeah, it was nice to see him break away from just being hyper focused on River.
mhm,
And that might also have something to do with River's stability.
mm,
I'm not, of course, not implying that River is acting out for attention, because no one believes that. But I'm beginning to wonder if it's her just being empathic.
Well, yeah, and we've kind of talked about that. It's like, is it psychic abilities? Is she just that aware of everything? Um, is she empathic, which again could be a connection to either of those two?
Yeah, didn't see anything character wise external. Um, but the entire encounter beyond the symbolism, the entire encounter beyond the symbolism, um, did a great job to accentuate the world building and how everything is gray.
Mm,
Um, like the entire structure of the lockbox. We have uh abusive slave owner, um, who has a huge sum of money stolen by a pair of individuals, one who betrays the other, and then, while attempting to save their own life, has to abandon money. So it's like bad people screwing over bad people ended up with some type of good.
yeah.
Like it was weird that way. Um, but beyond that, to accentuate it, and I don't want to run off too much, but what caught me off guard was Anara. Her being the conscience of the
Yeah.
ship. Um, the verse being so muddied and so gray that, I mean, I wouldn't expect her to go off on a rant or a giant monologue about it.
Mm,
Um, but her showing up in servicing, effectively slavers.
yeah.
Um, and I'm not saying this to it reflects bad on her. I'm just saying that how gray the universe is. It's not like Mal and them, who are known to desire freedom, or trying to save these indentured slaves.
Yeah.
Um, it was just a fact of life.
hmm It's it's interesting because like obviously Inara does research around
Hmm.
her clientele. She makes that very clear in this episode that if it was the rich slave owner, she wouldn't have done any. She would have declined.
It was a great
So in that,
switcheroo,
mhm,
because they make you think she showed up for him,
yeah,
and she showed up for his son.
yeah. Um, it's this is all theory crafting. One thing I find interesting with this. If Jayne hadn't, if what happened with Jayne when he was there years ago,
Hmm.
I guess it sounds like about 5 years ago, I think it sounds like. If he hadn't been there to drop the money and the town having that support, the son probably would have been like his father.
True.
I think it's really clever. Like they wrote it well enough. It's like, no, I actually can see this through line going through, and it's all because Jayne did that that they got away in the first place as well. Like it's amazing what can inspire people.
And I think overall this one is probably gonna end up being one of the pinnacles of the writing of this series
Mhm.
because of like the arguably 3 to 5 parallel storylines, depending on how you look at it. A common through line with symbolism uh, as the motif, um, and the cyclical nature of it all,
Mhm.
um, which is essentially shown with what you just mentioned with Jayne Cobb affecting Fess Higgins in a manner that made it so he didn't turn out like his father, which then turned into them being able to leave the planet because they had the lockdown release because of conversations about symbolism.
Yeah. It's a planet that I would like to return to.
Really, because I want to go to that planet where they juggle geese,
Yeah.
like little goslings, little baby geese.
I want to go to the planet where I'm accidentally a hero. Yeah. Uh, Other things that I really like, just kind of going back to Jayne. I mean, this is Jayne's episode, so
Hmm.
obviously there's a lot there about him. Um, on top of him showing his colors at the end, like he actually gave like pretty decent speech to the town.
He tried.
Like for someone who's very practical, talking to a bunch of people who are very practical.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, even Kaylee's like, that actually wasn't half bad. Like, um, I did appreciate that. And then, again, just with the mirroring, Anara's speech to Fez was mirrored very much Jayne. Sorry, Mal talking to Jayne at the end.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, it just things layered well. I am more and more still going. It's like, huh? I know Wash is like a fan favorite. There's nothing there,
There is nothing there.
and this is the first time we've actually had Wash really kind of in a situation where he would be able to shine and just didn't, which is a shame. He's just very much the comic relief type right now, is what it feels like. Um,
This one, I actually had a thought while I was rewatching this one. Um, you know me, I'm like not super convinced by Firefly.
mm,
Like I like it well enough, but do I think it's actually good? Um, and to just restate my opinion in case uh, we have any new people who are only catching this one as the first one, um, I think this is a pretty good first season. It's not great, but had it gone 4 seasons, it would have been one of the greatest shows.
yeah.
It is great building blocks, but it has not built into anything yet. However, I did have a moment while I was watching this episode where I went, um, I had a feeling that this episode alone um, elevated my
Mhm.
perspective of the series, even in like comparison to the earlier episodes.
Yeah, I feel this is one of the 3 episodes that has always really stood out to me, and I think it's, again, one of those ones where this is why the show is seen so highly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other ones which I've already seen is Shindig. The other one is coming up soon, I think. If not,
If you're talking about Out of Gas,
yeah,
that's the next one.
yeah. Like, there's so much here. I mean, again, we always go back to Buffy. Like Buffy season 1 was, it definitely hadn't found its footing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, part of that's, it was known there was going to be a filler thing at the time, and so um, again, I just get that impression. It's like he expected this to be a 4 or 5 season thing, and I just see building blocks everywhere. Like, I just want to see where it goes, because I think you're right. Like, if this ended up being 4 or 5 seasons, this probably would have went down as being one of the greatest shows.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Granted, I mean, theoretically, it might have pulled a Supernatural and went 3 times longer than it should have. That's not fair. Like, the Supernatural should have been 5 seasons and done, but
Yeah,
they went, what, like 12 or 13?
way too many.
Yeah.
I stopped way before. I stopped when it should have stopped.
I mean, I like Supernatural, but that is too much.
Yeah, there was one season that jumped the shark, and I never went back, and I heard that it brought it back together. But we're not talking about Supernatural. um, yeah, I'm just trying to think. Is there anything else major character wise?
No, honestly, I think we covered it pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, big thing about this here is like, yeah, just clever writing. We're starting to see Jayne for who he is, and spoiler alert, it comes back. um,
The only thing that I can think of is the throw lines. I mean, I'm hoping for some expansion on Wash.
Hmm.
Uh, lest he be retired from hero status in my heart.
Yeah.
They definitely need to do something to him that isn't just uh, gone like a bad mustache. I'd like to be more cognizant of the relationship between Kaylee and Simon.
Hmm.
Before I thought it was just passing, so this kind of showed me that it might be a little bit more complex than I originally thought.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the continued exploration of Jane's character and how it fits together, and whether or not it'll stay cohesive, which it already is, or um, do they like lose his path?
Hmm.
Like, do they just start throwing things and hope it kind of meshes, which is
Yeah.
what happens in series a lot.
Yeah. I think those are important things to look out for. Um, God, I hope they do something with Wash. I can't believe how little they've done with them. um,
I'm gonna have to read some of these comics. Apparently, there's far more Firefly comics than I realized.
I've only read the one that came out that takes place like just before Serenity.
There's a bunch of one shots, and there's like a series that went on from November of 2018 till January of 2021.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it looks like it was releasing near monthly.
Hmm. I
Oh,
wonder. I wonder how was Whedon an influence in it, or was it a bunch of people who took the IP and
The long running one appears to be IP, um, and is referred to as canonical. And there is a bunch of, I think, not one shots, but short series that were written.
because I know Buffy and Angel also had basically their season like 7 and their season 8s done in comic form.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he fight a dragon?
I never read the Angel. I only read a little bit of the Buffy, but I would assume so.
Angel's bad.
And
I will say, I will say that the first 2 seasons of Buffy were better than the first 2 seasons of Angel.
yes.
But after that, it's all Angel, all the way, baby. Argue with me in the comments, bish.
Yeah, no, not talking about Angel. as I about to go on about Cordelia and what they've done with her.
Such good character growth of Cordelia,
Yeah.
and then when they made her like the big bad, I was checked out her character, but everything before that was so good.
Yeah, and again, natural progressions of Buffy, which is again like it's why I can see so much strings within Firefly, like just seeing those same types of things in other series that he's done.
Well, the thing about the writing and the craft, they had gotten to the point where Angel and Buffy were being written in the way that people remember positively.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when this stuff started coming out, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it was perfected, but it was a solid trade craft at that point.
Yeah.
I'm not yet convinced it's as great as people said, but so far I am looking at this series more positively than I have before.
Yeah.
It's rare for series to stand up to the kind of scrutiny that we give it.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was like those folks on EFAP, they would probably be able to tear it apart pretty good, but it's making my standards.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. There's a reason to come back to it. Okay. Thanks again for huddling around the second wall with us here tonight. Join us next time as we continue our discussion of Firefly. Please join the conversation in the comments, on social media, or at our Discord, where we would love to get your thoughts. And of course, if you like what we do, please share us with your friends.